need to know where your troops are at any given point.
Yeah, but I want to zoom right the fuck in.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we are back up and running. I don't know what happened there. I'm very confused. Apparently someone was trying to call me or something, and I don't know anyone, so it was probably a bot.
I don't love a bot disrupting a stream. Good stuff.
That's very weird. They're probably trying to sell me NFTs.
A competitor podcast, or were they trying to sabotage?
Maybe that's it. A disruptor. That was just very, very odd.
It was a bit strange,
let's
actually.
Hope they don't do that again. Huh.
Yeah.
And then, and then it gave me a screen that has now been posted to Twitch that was like, if someone secretly tries to call you, you'll get a little alarm. And it's like, what? Why are you telling my business on there? But anyway. Pete.
So we'll give it another couple of minutes, actually, and we'll just...
Okay, 3 more minutes. And then Pete is hosting, which I have to be okay with.
Okay.
Kind of have to be.
Is that your affirmation for the show, Kylie?
Yes. I am okay.
Pete is the host, and I have to be okay.
And I have to be okay with it.
No, because Kylie is usually the host, so it's a little bit of a change to usual proceedings. But
so funny.
We decided to tackle it this way because Kylie's that's a self-admitted Bungie fangirl.
Oh yes. Yes. Although we'll see if I maintain that status as we continue on.
I think I'm gonna make a bold prediction. No.
Yes.
But we'll see. We will definitely see on that one. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check something right quick.
Uh-oh. Famous last words.
What? Oh. Didn't know what you said. Really? Is it just me 6? Okay. That's fine. Cool.
Sorry.
Mr. Me6.
Oh, yeah.
Give him warnings. Okay.
What did you get a warning for?
I don't know.
Or was it just the notification?
It's probably just that. I just wanted to be sure so it doesn't riggedy wreck my stuff. What?
Not saying anything. I think you knew what you did there.
No. Before I riggedy wreck myself?
Actually, do say you can turn the light on because it's going to get very dark very quickly.
Right. I was going to say, our usual third co-host, Kieran, he plays Warhammer as well. The Total War, not Warhammer. I meant Total War.
All right, cool.
Yeah. He's going to hate that because he'd love to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, Kieran would have loved that.
Yeah.
I think we've heard every week for the last few weeks that he is like well excited about that game. So.
Yes.
The thing is, I've got a Game Pass automatically pops up on my PC in the background, and I can just see it cycling through Total War Warhammer 3. Like, not out yet. Stop showing it to me. Distract me.
When is it out?
Oh, it's like super soon. In fact, I think it's this month.
All right.
What is it? Oh, now it's fucking disappeared. Where is it gone?
The one time you actually,
yeah, the one time I actually need it.
Never fails.
I will find out. Total War Warhammer 3. Available 17th. So 11 days time.
Couple of days.
I'll be.
Could be a lot worse.
I'll be prepping for the Witch Queen at that point, mentally preparing myself.
I'll be mentally preparing myself for Elden Ring. So.
All right, yeah. That's supposed to be really good.
I have no idea if I'm going to be buying any games in February.
Well, yes.
There's a lot of games to buy.
I know.
I was in Asda the other day and had to resist buying Dying Light because just I know, but I'll not finish it by the time Elden Ring comes out.
Yeah, I did see your messages in the Discord going, "Shall I buy it?" And then someone was like, "Well, you put this message up. That means you've basically already bought it."
I actually haven't bought it.
I know.
Temptation is woo. I might just play through the original again. That'll keep me going for a bit. I really like the original.
Yeah, it could do.
Because
go on. No, go on, Kylie.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I totally get the trying to finish up everything before a new game comes out. Although I'm finishing up Destiny 2 before Destiny 2 comes out. But
There's no finishing Destiny 2.
oh, it just
No,
keeps
there isn't.
going.
Actually, yeah, I've made a
You
bit,
can finish
bit of an
Destiny
error.
1.
Well,
probably
that's
could.
true.
Okay,
That's true.
I made an error in judgment. I'm definitely buying a game this month, and it's the game that everyone probably would expect me to buy, and it's King of Fighters.
Oh, yes. I was thinking of that the other day because I saw a post or something, and I was like, ah, well, that's Pete's February game.
Yeah, probably
Can't
because I
really
liked
think
it the
of
same.
anything for me this month.
Warframe.
I don't know. Just kind of
Is there new
bad
Warframe
month,
content?
I guess. No new Warframe content.
Well, that's never stopped you before, Brent. No, you know, you'll still
That's true.
play it regardless.
Well, Pete,
Yeah, I'm getting on it.
and I will promise, well, I will try my best to not rebel against authority.
Like always. Okay. So
There might be some Warframe content at the end of the month. Now that I think about it.
Well, it would be wise for them to wait, I would think.
yeah, just gonna read a comment here.
Yep,
Nana,
go for it.
that King of Fighters 15 does look good, but I'm gonna wait until the second version, I guess. SNK aren't well known for doing second versions of their games, so it's mainly a Capcom thing that they do with their fighting games.
Ooh, but what he says next, Pete.
I'm thinking of playing Yakuza Zero myself. Okay, good choice. Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, because that's technically the first in the series, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, story-wise.
Army 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to remember that.
Yep. You'll like it,
Yeah.
Nana. You will like it. It's good.
I'm sure I've got Yakuza Zero on PlayStation and just never played it.
Good game.
Yeah, I played Like a Dragon, and that was my first experience of Yakuza, so I'm
You
probably
enjoyed
going to
it?
try and go back, but it's just...
Yeah. Zero's very different to like.
Yeah, I know it is. I know it's like it's more, it's got more interesting combat system. Because I'll be honest, the turn-based stuff got to me in the end.
Like a Dragon was my first one, and then I went and played Zero, and it was so different. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go back to Like a Dragon.
Fair enough.
They can be very. I mean, they are very different.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let me just... Oh god, such an addict. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get on
Caffeine
with this.
courage.
Yeah, I'm not. As a non-drinker, that's all I've got. All right. Anyway, so let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Do you want me to count you in?
Please. So I'm gonna start recording now.
Okay. Then we're gonna start the show in 3, 2.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 110 of the Rapid Reviews Radio podcast. You may have noticed something slightly different here. I am your host for today, Pete Beckett, but we have got an interesting discussion ahead of us where I've got 3 excellent people in front of me, ready to discuss the big news of the week, Bungie being acquired by Sony. So, forming part of our panel today is usual co-host, or host herself, but my ever-present co-host, Kiley Wilde.
The one and only.
We have the self-proclaimed Chad himself, Brent.
Bueno.
And we have a new person joining us today, fellow compatriot and friend of the show, from Modern Escapism. We have Gadget.
Hello.
Yay!
I will start this off by asking how everyone is doing today on this fine Sunday afternoon.
Yes. Well,
Is it afternoon yet?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah,
afternoon.
that's a good point.
Afternoon in the UK. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I'm absolutely obsessed with my camera. So, as poor Pete has had to listen, my camera broke earlier this week, my HD webcam. So I had to go and dig into my old supplies, and I found one that's probably circa 2010. It may be earlier. And whoo, buddy, is it color palette? Definitely 2010.
Yeah, we were sitting on a call beforehand, and I noticed that your microphone wasn't exactly the black color that it should
Yeah,
have
it's looking a little bit better. I think Discord kind of cleaned it up a bit. But wow, what the tech we used to use when we were younger, that's kind of crazy.
been. I know. So
But yes,
it could be a lot worse, though. Let's be honest.
Talk
You
to
could
your
still be
guest.
recording on an iPad.
it's true. That's what we did last week.
Oh, ooh, no.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was
We
bad.
had no choice. We had a catastrophic PC failure on Kylie's part, so we had no choice.
Yeah.
Oh my god, still do.
It was
I
terrible.
know.
It
I was
terrible.
disappointed. I don't feel like I feel like I'm being majorly judged by you now, Gadget.
You are.
Very much so.
Yeah, I know
Easy
you.
phone.
How, Brent and Gadget? How you both doing, mate?
Oh, marvelous. It's Sunday. I'm tired, confused, been editing, got more podcasting to do, been to the gym. It's that kind of day.
Yeah.
We can only ever thank you for sparing a couple of hours of your time to obviously join us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fine.
Brent, how goes it on this Sunday
It
morning
was
in
chilly
America?
this morning. So it's chilly enough that the dog actually wanted in. So that was a big indicator that it's cold. And then other than that, pretty good. So still kind of waking up at this point because it's a lot earlier for me than you guys.
Was it like 10 a.m. over there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
but yeah, it is always appreciated
Oh,
that you spend
goodness.
your time as well this early in the morning, and we have a reprobate in the chat,
I
but
was
I'm not
gonna
going to acknowledge
say.
that yet. So, but anyway, let's move forward and discuss the big news, the big discussion of the week,
Big
which
one.
was obviously, like I said, Bungie being acquired by Sony. So I'm just going to run through a couple of things that came out from the statements that obviously were put out by Bungie, by Jim Ryan, and by Herman Hulst. So Sony have acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion. It's a lot of money, but it's not quite Activision Blizzard levels of money.
69.
They are planning on keeping Destiny on all platforms until content is complete with the final shape in 2024. They will continue to stay as an independent studio that will work alongside PlayStation Studios developers. And Sony plan to develop 10 live service games before 2026, which means that they bought Bungie because of their experience with live service. So I'm just going to run into a few excerpts from the statement that was put out on Bungie's website about this. It says, Bungie joined Sony Interactive Entertainment, SIE. We believe games have limitless potential, and that to do anything worthwhile in entertainment, we must bet big on our vision, our studio, and our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people. In SIE, we have found a partner who unconditionally supports us all in all we do, and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Jim Ryan put on the SIE blog, says, we are thrilled to announce that Sony Interactive Entertainment has entered into an agreement to acquire Bungie, which will bring one of the world's greatest developers into the PlayStation family. Bungie has created two of gaming's most iconic franchises, Halo and Destiny, and has deep expertise in bringing incredible immersive experience at great scale to the community through games that evolve and develop over time, and has a hugely impressive roadmap for future content. It's that expertise coupled with the highly engaged PlayStation community that makes this partnership such an incredibly exciting addition. Herman Hulst basically pretty much mirrored that in the vast majority of his statement as well, so I won't really go into that too much. So I want to ask the panel, obviously, a few questions about this and see their general thoughts about it. So I am going to start with Brent on this one. How did you feel when the news came out originally at the beginning of this week?
It didn't really make a lot of sense, to be honest. It didn't really feel like something that Sony would normally be looking at. So I almost think that it was a reaction to what Xbox has been doing. And I'm not so sure that's going to be good in the long run.
Okay. Right. So initial thoughts, Gadget? What did you think?
It was a strange one for Sony to go for. I would have thought if Sony were going to start acquiring people, it would have been more Japanese studios. But I guess when they put this second statement out saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to be putting out like 10,000 live service games by the end of the decade," I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense because, Bungie have made a success of, is it arguably probably one of the first big live service games that wasn't an MMO." So yeah, I mean, even if anything, even if they just buy Bungie and strip it for parts and take all the back end technology, it's a good buy for Sony.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think they did confirm that I think it's $1.3 billion was of the purchase price was meant for employee retention, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was obviously good news for people who are fans of Bungie and people who work at the studio to know that their jobs are pretty secure, which is good because that's not always the case with mergers. So,
Well, yeah.
Kylie, being the Bungie fangirl herself, what did you make of this?
Oh, I think you know, Pete. I am talking about as soon as it hit my inbox. I pasted, well, first of all, I did it in all caps. I was like, OMFG, what the F? into our private chat, which is just me, Pete, and Kieran. And then I posted the link and I was like, what the F is going on? What? The end of the world is near. This can't be happening. This is not happening. I was absolutely taken by surprise, and I'm not usually taken by surprise in that particular way because I'm pretty good. I've got pretty ear to the ground and the behind the scenes industry crap, and that one floored me because there's been all kinds of denial from Bungie. Like all of last year was no, we're not in talks with anyone. We're not in talks with anyone. We're not in talks with anyone. And now it's come out. They've been in talks with both Microsoft and Sony. And then Sony won. Which we'll talk about, I'm sure, more. But initial impressions, I was like being punched in the face. But after the kind of, immediate shock wore off, and I realized that Destiny wasn't going to be yanked from my arms the way that Halo was, then I chilled out a bit and was like, all right, I'm cautious, but we'll see how it goes. But definitely not as freaked out as I was the minute the news hit, for sure.
No, I seem to recall the reaction that was had in that private chat where I had to try and remind both you and Kieran to, stay neutral. Rather than let your Xbox fan.
Because I was like, now I know, what the COD people feel like, because it's like COD was going to be ripped from their hands and turned into an exclusive, and I was like, Destiny's going to be ripped from me, but then, it's not, it's all good,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So, yeah, with that out of the way, I've got a few questions I need to ask about this one, so I'm going to go to Gadget first on this one. And I think Brent's mildly touched on this one slightly. Do you feel like this is a purely reactionary decision made by Sony on the back of the Bethesda deal by Microsoft?
No, I don't think so, because Sony have got a track record of buying up studios anyway. The difference is Microsoft are buying publishers, Sony are buying studios. So like over the last couple of years, like Sony's taken like Insomniac, Bluepoint, Valkyrie. I can't remember the name of them, but the ones that've done the PC ports. Begins with an N or something like that.
I can't remember who they are, but I know they've done Housemarque recently as well.
Yeah, they did Housemarque recently as well. So like, what Sony's tactic is buying studios that can deliver them quality first-party games. What Microsoft is doing is buying up publishers that give them all of the games, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good games. Like Bethesda, okay, they generally release some pretty good games. Doesn't guarantee it though. We all remember Fallout 76.
Do we have to?
Yes.
Buying Activision Blizzard, it's just like, well, that's just a load of bullshit. It's just because Blizzard haven't released a new game since Overwatch. That's 2016. And they're just murdering their existing franchises. So like, what Microsoft's doing is Microsoft's buying the big IPs and the big brands, whereas Sony is focusing on individual studios that have a track record of constantly releasing games that people like. So I don't think this is a particular reaction to it, because Sony have been doing this. They just haven't been doing it at the scale that Microsoft have been doing it.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you feel like the recent acquisitions they have done may have accelerated Sony's plans a little bit more for acquisitions then?
No, again, I don't necessarily. If Sony come out with another big, if Sony come out with like a Capcom or a Square Enix this year, that will have been a reaction to what Microsoft are doing.
Yeah.
But buying an individual studio like this, I mean, I know Bungie are big, but they're still effectively an indie studio since they left Activision.
Yeah.
They're just a very, very, very rich one. But yeah, no, I don't think this is in a particular reaction to what Microsoft doing. It's what Sony's always done.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at how it was back in the day, like when they first came onto the scene, they were acquiring studios left, right, and center when it was the PlayStation first PlayStation. So
Exactly,
this is not outside of their wheelhouse of doing.
No, and it's also smaller. I mean, the thing is, Sony can also be incredibly stupid. Like shutting down Japan studio a couple of years ago might have been the most boneheaded decision they ever made.
Yes,
because now they don't have an internal Japanese developer, which is insane for a Japanese company. It'd be like Nintendo shutting down Studio A. Like, why? Why would you do that? Idiots. But because Japan Studio hadn't had any hits, but they hadn't had the right direction on it, so they just shut them down. Same when they shut down Studio Liverpool. Really boneheaded idea. And I think this is a move to actually start building up that stable again, and get just back to having some decent first party developers that are probably going to release games or release content faster. Because, Santa Monica release a game every 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us 2 took 7 years?
Yes.
I want to say.
7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still technically incomplete because there's no multiplayer for it.
Right. Oh, gosh.
But, the big first-party developers for Sony take a long time to release games. So they're buying up these other studios. Like Destiny has, 2 expansions a year or 2 expansions every 3 years or something like that? But it's constant content is coming out.
It is constant, yeah.
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 So, it's not going to be a case of you'll have a stop of content and then you'll have a 5-year wait for Destiny 3. Right. You're going to keep getting content up until the base platform changes for Destiny 3. And that makes Sony more money. It keeps them going, and it keeps the technology evolving for the back-end live service stuff, because Bungie are having to solve these problems, which can then be taken in-house to the other Sony projects that they're trying to do with the live stuff.
Okay. So, Kylie, I want to know your thoughts on this one as well. Do you feel like it's an elevated timescale based on the acquisitions that Microsoft have been doing recently?
I'm going to say no, because of the whole basic premise that acquisitions take years anyway. And then I'm going to also say no because Sony's always been in the news for acquisitions. Microsoft seems to be more recent. And I think PlayStation has PlayStation 5 is like the 5th best-selling console. I read that today. Yeah, it's like way up there now. It beat out the Wii U and everything. Yeah. It's already
it's sort of like 20 million units now.
Yeah.
I mean, most things beat the Wii U. I'm pretty sure the Analog Pocket's going to beat the Wii U at this point.
But I mean, it's up there now, so they don't need. I guess they're not really looking. I mean, ultimately, when you think about it, is Xbox as a console, is it actually a competitor for Sony? I kind of don't think it even is anymore, despite what the console warriors would have you believe. I think Game Pass is more of a competition thing.
Yeah, because it's quite interesting that you say that, actually, because Microsoft have stopped really kind of focusing on the raw numbers of their consoles, more the subscription side of things, which has kind of been the case for Microsoft as a company for the last few years, even with like Office being subscription based. Yeah,
so I think if Sony were trying to if these acquisitions were competitive based, I think it would be in a different direction. I don't think it would be Bungie. I think what they have up their sleeve is something I'm sure we're going to get into, which is they want the under the hood stuff. And I think they're going to use that.
So you think this is an acquisition based on tech?
Yeah, I don't think it's based on, well, it's kind of reflecting what Gadget said, which is Microsoft is buying publishers and Sony buys studios. Because Microsoft's putting out games, Sony's looking to advance their tech. That's my feeling. That's my intuition. That's not based on facts. That's based on total internal things.
Okay, same question, Brent, obviously, because I want to get everyone's opinion just on this question alone, and then we'll have some more targeted questions later on.
I guess I have the dissenting opinion because I do think it was somewhat of a reaction. Like I agree that an acquisition in general isn't out of the ordinary for Sony, but I think this particular one is, and I feel like it is aimed at Xbox for a couple reasons. The first being Bungie's in Redmond, Washington. That's where Microsoft is. That's where 343 is. That's where Turn 10 is. It's just in their backyard. Getting that studio that close to Microsoft really shows something. They didn't have to go for something in the backyard of Microsoft. I also think that Sony's probably been watching a couple things from numbers perspective. So like in December, the two highest selling games were Halo and Call of Duty, and so that's going forward. That's going to be Xbox that owns those. So I feel like they know that they need a shooter to be able to compete, even if it's a little bit. They don't have to be number one. They just need something to compete with Xbox owning the two number one shooter games. So I guess they thought Bungie would be a good option for that. They're not the only option, obviously, but knowing the work they've done on Destiny and Halo, that kind of led them to believe that they could make a PlayStation exclusive shooter that could compete. People throw around the word, the Halo killer.
Right.
I don't think they have to be number one. I think they just need something to be competitive with the other shooters on the market. And then also, I think they looked at Game Pass. Before Destiny 2 went free to play, it was on Game Pass with all the DLC. And
yes, it was.
Game Pass subscriber numbers went up significantly during that time. Up to, I think, 25 million subscribers now. From 10 or 15 million before Destiny was on the service. So I think that they knew that if they could do that same thing with the new subscription service that Sony has in the works, if they could offer Destiny and all the DLC, they might be able to carve a little bit of that out of Xbox.
That's actually a good point, Brian.
Even if it doesn't get them the 10 million that Xbox got, if it gets them a part of that, it's a good start.
I mean, Pete, be sure to interrupt me. But I mean, PlayStation is Sony is working on a Game Pass thing, aren't they?
Known as Project Spartacus, apparently.
Yeah. So, Brent, that's actually a good point, because if that was like their lead off, I'd buy it.
See?
Yeah,
So that's all they need is a start. And if they can start with Bungie offering Destiny and all the DLC on Sony's subscription service, that's a start.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing then. Imagine if they launch it around February, around this month, around the time the Witch Queen comes out, and it's free for PlayStation Spartacus subscribers.
I think that's
exactly.
I think
that's not going to That's not going to happen. That's wishful thinking. It's out next week, man.
Thank you.
No, I know.
But if it's right when a new Destiny expansion,
I was gonna
comes
say
out,
now, if you want to say in 2024 when they launch Phase 3 or whatever they're calling it, but let's hope that Sony's got something before 2024.
I'm sure they probably do. They probably do, and it's like I said with Project Spartacus apparently being their answer to Game Pass. It seems likely that that would be the case.
I wouldn't say the acquisition part is a reaction to Xbox acquisitions. I don't think that those two are equal, but I do think specifically going for Bungie was to compete with Xbox.
Interesting. What was Gadget? What were you about to say?
I was going to say, we have to remember, it is still Sony. They'll do a Game Pass-like thing, and they'll still bugger it up.
Yeah.
I mean, PlayStation Now is shite.
I was going to say, they really did try with that PlayStation Now.
Yeah, but they didn't try hard enough. That's the problem.
I mean, did anyone know that they could actually download games on PS Now?
I knew at the very end of life of my PS4.
Yeah. But that's because they didn't make it massively well known that you could actually download the games rather than just streaming them.
Yeah.
The messaging was pretty poor on that one, but
it's really crazy.
PS Now could have been good if they tried.
But how do you mess that up?
Easy. It's Sony. It's like Nintendo screwing up online.
Oh, that's a good point too. Poor Nintendo.
No, not poor Nintendo. They need to learn.
The thing is, Sony's very good at making hardware. They're not very good at making services. Very good at making hardware, hardware and games.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what PSVR 2 comes out like, because I'm quite interested in that.
I'm very excited about that.
And I know they'll have commissioned some great games for it, but they'll still have some shite service in the background pinning it up. I mean, everyone remember the state of PSN when it came out on PS3, and the only selling factor for it was you didn't have to pay for it like Xbox Live.
Yes, that's right.
It didn't get useful in any way, shape, or form until you had to start paying for it on the PS4, and then they actually put some investment into it, and it came out pretty good.
Yep.
Sony have always been the shite little brother to people who do services.
Right.
But they've always made great hardware. We'll discount the fact that the PS3 was a broken piece of crap anyway because no one could develop on it. But it was powerful. It was a free Blu-ray player with every purchase, so that was why most people got it. But so Sony's history with services aren't great. So buying a Bungie gives them. I'm assuming, I don't know what the back end code for this looks like, but I'm assuming it's something that they can package into other games. It's something that Bungie own the patent to for whatever their service does in the background. That makes it special. That it's not just an online peer-to-peer connection or a server-based thing or anything like that.
Right.
Whatever makes Destiny's backend special likely is an IP owned by Destiny, by Bungie themselves. So that would be something Sony could then leverage into their own games for these 10 or so live service games they're putting out over the next 6 years.
Well, I definitely think so, because part of I think they said 1 million of that 3 billion or whatever is not audience retention, employee retention.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. 1.3 billion is for employee retention,
which means that's got to be what they're doing, is expanding this whatever this tech is, out for lack of a better term, into their future plans. But I mean, I gotta say, and of course I'm biased, but I really enjoy the Bungie, or rather Destiny 2's live service. Like that, to me, it just works. They give me content, I play it, and then I go away for a while, and they give me more content, and then I come back and play it some more. And I like that. I think it works.
The way they did, I agree. That was probably one of the things that I was more interested in when it came to Destiny, was the fact that every expansion you get new weekly content. It's a pretty interesting way that they have actually delivered a story.
Oh yeah, I mean that actually speaks more to the studio itself, but Bungie can tell a story, and I think that helps with retention as well.
So is there a story in Destiny 2?
Oh yes.
It's because there certainly wasn't one in the first game.
No, apparently not. I'm not as familiar with Destiny 1. I had to watch a video to play catch up. But in Destiny 2, I think it was Forbes. There's a article in Forbes that talks about how they learned to write They learn to write stories.
Oh, while making the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I do remember reading somewhere like the darkness that was the overall threat in the first game was like they just wrote that. They had no bloody idea what it was, and they were going to write it in later. I was like,
yeah,
think it has only
what's
just
wrong
come
with
in.
you?
that
You wrote
recently.
Halo, man.
I know. But they seem to have got that spark back, which is good for me. Because I need
Would you say
highly
that-
dramatized stuff. What,
Would
Pete?
you say that guilty spark back?
Oh, filthy spark.
Pete, I'm banning you. It's not even my
Yes.
podcast. I'm going to ban you.
Good. That was what I wanted. Good
I-
reaction.
I kind of disagree with Destiny having good live service. It seems like every time a new expansion comes out, they're vaulting content. There's some piece of content goes away. So you can't experience all of it at once.
That's a valid point, actually,
Mhm.
Brent, and that does come up quite a bit.
And knowing how Warframe does it, being another indie studio where everything that gets added stays. So everything that was there from day one is still there now,
Who
8 years
does-
later.
Who does Warframe? You've told me before, but I've forgotten.
Digital Extremes.
Digital Extremes. Yeah. That's actually a good point.
So, and their game runs on the Switch, so it's not even like it's a performance thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yes. A lot of people, I mean, I am a fangirl, but I do try to be realistic about things. But there are fan defenders, I guess Bungie apologists, as they call them, who are like, well, they're just vaulting it, which means they're not deleting it, so it can come back and all this kind of stuff.
But it hasn't happened yet.
But I mean, World of Warcraft, WoW, they don't vault content either. I don't think. I don't know. I don't play WoW, but I have friends that do, and I don't think they.
I don't think they have, but
Yeah.
I can't say definitively for sure because I've never played WoW.
Yeah. So that's a valid criticism.
Yeah, maybe it is that they're buying the technology for the vault. Who knows?
There you go.
I don't think the vaulting thing is necessarily a live service issue. I think that's more of a studio management issue. There's more things to look after. Like the bit of it that is the live service is the presenting the content to the players, presenting the payment methods, presenting the randomization and the loot and all that kind of thing. That's the live service that Sony will have paid for. The vaulting thing, that's a studio decision. That there will likely have been a way to work around whatever problem that they had with that content. They just chosen to focus their efforts elsewhere, which sucks. And it's really crappy for people who enjoy Destiny and want to play through that older content. It's one of the reasons why I don't play Destiny, because it's just like, well, hang on a second. If I've got the disc for Destiny, I can't play any of the content on it. I can't even go to any of the locations on it other than the bloody tower. So no, I'm not interested.
Sounds like Pete.
Sorry.
I said Pete. That sounds like you, actually.
Yep.
Pete's
as soon as they started taking content away, I was
gonna
like,
say,
yeah, no thanks.
Pete's a physical. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is a studio decision. That's not a function of the live service.
Okay. Well, do you feel that obviously then with this acquisition, one of the things that Bungie had said is why they were vaulting content was because of server space. Do you feel that like they might be able to have all that content available by the end of it because they'll be able to utilize Sony server systems?
Sony server system. They just use AWS. No, if the only way you could have had that server system to give that expansiveness that they claim that they don't have was if they signed with Microsoft and used Microsoft, because Microsoft own the data center.
They own,
yeah. Sony doesn't own any data centers. They pay Amazon for it.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. That's what all this keeps coming back to in my mind. Is, we talk about how Sony's in competition with Microsoft as studios, or as, I'm talking about purely the console portion of this. But I said it last week or the week before, I don't remember. Sony uses Microsoft tech, Microsoft uses Sony tech, they both use Amazon tech, and now Bungie's looking at Google's streaming service. Like, they're all conglomeration anyway of each other. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It was upsetting when I first heard it, but really what it comes down to, they're all the same, if that makes sense,
Yeah. that's the interesting thing that you've just obviously brought up is the fact that there was a story that came out from Business Insider saying Bungie were looking to purchase the Stadia tech. So you actually brought up a really interesting point beforehand. Is it possible that they could be buying this streaming tech, or the technology for streaming, to put Destiny onto the Switch?
Which would be interesting.
And the Switch already has its own solution for that though, because they have just the cloud version technology, which is just a Nintendo wrapper for a game.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you'll know.
It's like more, isn't it?
Pete's our Nintendo fanboy. But Pete, like, is there a?
No, you'd never have guessed that, would you?
But Pete, you tell me, is there a? I've never played the Switch, by the way. Is there a live service game on the Switch, of any kind?
There's loads.
Is there?
Yes, there's fair few. Yeah, there's
Okay.
there's Warframe, there's Fortnite, and there's stuff like that. So
Right.
I knew Brent was going to mention that.
Brent got real excited right there. Right.
I
So
don't think Nintendo has their own specific one, but there is a few
Right.
other options.
Animal Crossing would be the closest.
right.
Yeah, I would probably say you're right on that one.
But that is a prevailing theory, is that why Bungie was in talks with Google, or is still in talks from what I understand. But I mean, Nintendo does have the cloud, which we saw when we looked at the Epic lawsuit, Epic versus Apple lawsuit. We got to see some of the behind the scenes paperwork there, and Nintendo was in talks with Microsoft about the cloud, very briefly. So I don't know. Is the cloud strong enough to handle Destiny?
The cloud is just someone else's computer.
Yeah.
The Destiny 2 already runs perfectly through Stadia. It's one of the few games that actually works on it.
Right?
And it's got a
So-
good player base actually already as well.
I know nothing
it's
of the
good.
Stadia.
Well, yeah, it's just it's got a few thousand people that play quite regularly on Stadia.
Right.
The
didn't know.
the Switch can handle cloud technology. At least you can play Control as good as the PlayStation version via the cloud gaming function on the Switch. I've tried it, and it works
Yeah.
fine. Obviously, it just means you can't take it out the house with you, which means you lose kind of the function of the Switch. But that's besides the point. The cloud stuff that Nintendo were talking to Microsoft about will have been to get xCloud to work on it, so you could play Game Pass games via the Switch.
Yes.
Which, because Microsoft are making their money now, not really on the consoles, they're making it through the Game Pass subscription.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
Microsoft don't really care what machine it's on. Like, you can play Game Pass on everything back to a base level Xbox One if you're a psychopath. But you can, because of xCloud now, you can get the better performance on the baseline Xbox One, because you don't need to load the game onto it, provided you've got a good enough internet connection. So the same would apply to the Switch, and that gives Microsoft 100 million potential other people to get a tenner a month from.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the Switch is powerful enough to run Destiny 2 in a cloud format. And Sony don't have cloud technology. They don't really have it. Sony's technology is more about content delivery rather than content streaming.
Right.
So all these conversations, you would probably find that if they were going to... I think Sony bought OnLive years ago, and that was what they were trying to do for PlayStation Now. And that's why PlayStation Now's streaming technology is shite. So what they would really need to do, and what I would see them do, is because Google has pretty much abandoned Stadia.
Yes.
Like, they're not making any original content for it. There's no games coming out for it or anything. It's just existing on this Google Cloud platform function. It's just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think what will likely happen is that Sony will probably try and make a bid for Google for Stadia to buy the back end technology of Google, because it's something Microsoft doesn't need because they've built their own xCloud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's when you would start seeing the potential for some Sony games to be done on the Switch or to be done elsewhere, or play God of War on your phone or anything like that. That kind of thing. That's where it's going.
Yeah. I now that we've kind of laid it out that way, yeah, I'm gonna say that I think that's exactly what they're doing. That makes sense, because they don't have the back end already built. Sony, I'm talking about the infrastructure. That's the word I'm looking for. They don't have the infrastructure in place, whereas this is almost ready made, handed to them if they can work it out and stuff. Be very interesting to see how this goes in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I would be interested to
Maybe
see
I'll
it.
return to the Sony fold. It's been so long.
We won't talk about that one because the last time I tried to get you on a Sony console, you complained about having to paint your wall first.
My PSVR is sitting right here.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next question because it was confirmed, obviously, that Bungie will stay independent from from the first party studios of Sony. They're probably likely to run support on various games or provide tech to assist with their projects. So, does anyone, and I'm probably going to go to Kylie first on this one, do you feel that they will become a first-party PlayStation studio under the PlayStation Studios banner after 2024 when they have completed the final part of Destiny 2?
I think that if Sony tried to put the reins on Bungie, they would buck and chomp at the bit and run away like they did from Activision. I have to believe that in my heart of hearts.
Do you feel that that's a reactionary based on how it was with Microsoft and with Activision?
I do.
Kick back against that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know the going-ons inside of Bungie, but they do seem to very much stick by their we're independent, kind of theme. And I think that they will because, like I said, they dropped Activision as soon as Activision started getting clingy. That's what we'll say. As soon as Activision started getting clingy, Bungie was like, "I'm out of here."
Not exactly, because let's just say that Destiny was published by them, and then 2 years later, Destiny 2 was out, despite the fact that Bungie turned around and said, "No, we didn't want a Destiny 2."
But they did it on their terms. So if PlayStation was like, "We want a Destiny 3, but we want it to have Tom Hanks as the lead character," I really couldn't think of anyone to pull Tom Hanks. Bungie's like, "No, we want Tom Holland to be the main voice of Cade 6 now." I think that they would leave. I just don't think. Maybe that is just me projecting onto Bungie and wanting them to stay independent. But I don't think that Sony could offer them enough money to make them bend the knee. That's what I think. That's just me, though.
Opening it up to the rest of the panel. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think from Bungie's perspective, they've already gone through this with Microsoft and Activision. And that's why when they signed this deal that they would remain independent, which means at any point they could just remove themselves from Sony. I think that that's what Bungie is thinking through this whole process. I don't think becoming a first party is on their mind at this point. And I think from Sony's perspective, they don't really get much by taking Bungie from an IP perspective. They can't have Halo because Microsoft still owns that. Nobody cares about Myth and Marathon. And I can guarantee the contract says that Bungie gets to keep the Destiny IP. So there's nothing left for Sony to do anything with if they made them a first party and then they left at some point. There's no benefit for Sony to make them a first party.
That's fair.
Yeah, pretty much just echo that. It's just if Sony were to make them a first party under the PlayStation Studios, I mean, I'm looking at the Destiny 2 Steam charts now, and bear in mind that Destiny 2 hasn't had any content for a little while. Mm-hmm. It's still averaging over 50,000 players a month on PC alone. Like, that's still players who are playing it, who are putting money into the system. Like, if they were to take it as a first-party studio and cut off PC and Xbox players, that's just the most... I mean, I know I've said Sony are boneheaded. They're not that stupid. They're not going to take away two markets where they make money. I mean, the player bases are arguably larger on the Xbox because of people getting hooked into it with Game Pass when it hit Game Pass in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's now they're not going to make it a PlayStation Studios one. It's one of these ones. It's owned by Sony. You'll probably get that weird moment when you boot it up on your Xbox and it'll come in Sony Studios or something like that, or part of the Sony group or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to have the PlayStation Studios logo at the beginning. It's not going to have the the fancy swish of all the characters with the PlayStation symbols on it and anything like that.
No, kind of like how it is with MLB The Show on Sony, on a Sony platform, having the Microsoft Studios thing.
Oh yeah, that did that, didn't it?
Yeah. Which is, well, sorry, it was the other way around. It's being on Game Pass and having Sony Studios like logo on the front of it, which is really still a really weird proposition, if I'm honest.
Isn't that how Call of Duty's gonna be?
They haven't technically confirmed that yet, have they? Whether or not that will be the case,
Ag-
but you would imagine
again,
it will be.
Yeah, again, that one would be a stupid one if they were to make that Microsoft exclusive.
Oh yeah.
Because it's got just as big a player base on the PlayStation as it's got on the Xbox. So I know they're saying, oh, Call of Duty's definitely guaranteed on every platform for the next 3 years. Like, no, it's every platform forever. It's Activision. They like money.
That's all they like is money.
Yeah.
Bored, pay their money. They're just a collection of Scrooge McDucks.
Yes, that's true.
They've got a tower full of gold that they leap into and somehow don't break their neck on. Bloody Activision.
True.
Yeah, we should have got you on for the Activision Blizzard discussion.
I always wanted to jump in one of those towers of money, but you would break your neck, you know.
Yeah, well, Family Guy did
cool
that enough.
Coins. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
All right, so I want to know specifics here. So Gadget, I'm going to go to you this one because you're mostly. I know you said beforehand that you do play a lot on the consoles, but you do have a decent enough PC to run games. So what kind of value proposition does Bungie add to the PC-centric market with this one?
Overall, it's just the game will exist as the game exists. The technology, PC players don't generally give a shit about this kind of thing because as long as the game works, that's what PC players are happy with. You know?
Yeah.
And again, the main reason for this acquisition will have been the tech in the background.
Yeah.
So it'll be whatever comes next. And the thing is, and I know for a fact is Sony aren't going to ask Bungie to make a game that isn't Destiny. Sony are going to keep just wanting Bungie to crank Destiny stuff out. But that tech, the loot delivery systems, the payment systems, all that kind of thing, that will find its way into other games.
Yeah.
And that's where the value proposition is for Sony. The value proposition isn't for us as gamers; it's for Sony as a business.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually.
And it all depends on, and the value proposition for the gamers is depend on what you feel of live service games. Me personally, I hate live service games. I want to buy a game that doesn't try and sell me shit all the way through it. I was even bothered by Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart having a store in it. It's like, active game. It goes from A to B, and that's it. You don't give me stuff to buy.
That's Pete. That's Pete right there.
I looked at that when I completed Ratchet and Clank. I looked at that and was like, hold on, they're offering a deluxe edition. What's this extra deluxe edition? It was like further drop rate of your nuts and bolts. And I was like, what?
I don't like that.
What is the point?
Yeah, but so the actual live service kind of a bit of it, I don't really care about. I'm interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah,
I think it might be cool with some technology, but the kind of games that it will be applied to, I probably won't play. Like I stopped playing Destiny 2 after the first wave of it, like before Forsaken came out.
Oh, right. Wow. Shadowkeep.
Well, because I played through the base game, I enjoyed it, and then they said, "Oh, here's the next bit. Pay £35." I'm like, no, I played the bit I'm happy with, you know. But that's just me. Like I don't, like I say, I'm not bothered by live service games. I don't play them. I don't play Fortnite. I don't play Warzone. I don't play PUBG or anything like that. You know, I don't play games that I don't play free to play games. I don't play games on my phone or anything like that. You know,
yeah, I'm big on free to play games. Yeah,
I like narrative games. I like games that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that kind of thing. So I do pay for Game Pass though, and I like the tech behind Game Pass. I would like to see Sony have a Game Pass competitor.
I actually
because
would
at the minute my PlayStation is just used for the Sony exclusives. Really, like I'm playing Returnal on it at the minute. Wonderful game, great game. I haven't bought much new for it. The next new game I'm getting for it will be Elden Ring in a couple of weeks.
Right.
But most of the games I've been playing on my Xbox because they're all on Game Pass. And I don't have to spend any money on them.
Right.
So yeah, that's the bit I'm interested in. Not necessarily what comes out of this Bungie deal because it's not a value proposition for players unless you're into playing live service games.
Yeah.
But what's going to be tricky for them is they say they want to put out 10 live service games in the next 6 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's until 2026.
2026. Okay, so next 4 years. They're going to absolutely saturate the market with live service games. People who play live service games, Kylie will attest to this, pick a game and run with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You do not play more than one live service game at any time. You might be a major Destiny player, a major Warframe player. You might fancy a little bit of Fortnite every so often, go and play a couple of free games of that, but it's not your focus.
No.
It's impossible to focus on multiple live service games at once because of the way that they game the players.
Absolutely.
Because the way they do the loot, the way they do the drops, the way they do all the content, it's impossible for Sony to push out so many live service games in such a short period of time and make them all a success. What you're probably going to get is 1 hit and 9 misses.
I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. Absolutely.
I agree with that one as well. And Kylie, just to recall your conversation that we had about Destiny itself, what was it I said when they announced that they were adding them to Game Pass for a short amount of time?
I don't remember. What'd you say?
I'll finally play them because they're free.
Oh, right. And you did play them, and you didn't like them.
Well, I did, but it was just they kept
the
bolting content.
I was gonna say it's the live service thing. I think, Pete, that doesn't gel so well with you. Whereas I'm kind of like, there's new drops every week. So Tuesday's the reset. So I have to get in there. I have to play. I have to get my weeklies done. I have to get my dailies done. And then if there's story content, I have to do that. That can take sometimes 5 days, maybe 7 days, which for me is like, oh. But for probably the average player, which, Pete, I'm throwing you in there.
I'm in the average player group.
Yeah, you're kind of like what Gadget said, which is beginning, middle, end. When you played Ratchet and Clank, you wanted to play it all the way through. Whereas I don't want mine to end.
Yeah,
I'm fine with the game not ending. I don't want a game to become a job.
And that's what it is. It absolutely.
You've got daily targets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be productive in your game.
You
Look
do.
at that. Let me go and shoot some shit.
I have to grind. I have to grind all the time. Pete knows this. We have our meetings, and I'm like grinding the whole time.
The whole time, honestly, like you could just hear clicking of controllers. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, I've just got to do this in Destiny. It's like, yeah, great.
I got to do 4 rounds of whatever. And stuff like that. But I like that. But I also am aware that other people are not inclined. But that does go to support what Gadget said, which is, yes, live service players pick a game and they stick with it. I may go play some Fall Guys. I may play some of my little casual Prison Architect or whatever on my iPad. But I'm always going to come back to Destiny and spend a majority of my time there. I couldn't handle 2 live service games. I couldn't.
That's generally what I found with most people that I speak to.
That's why I don't play Halo.
Like, I'm going to play Warzone, or I'm going to play Halo, or I'm going to do play Fortnite, and they focus on that one because of the loot drops. I get it. It's not been my way to do things personally, but I can understand why people like live service games. It's just, I think, like with Gadget, I don't want it to be a job. I don't want it to be a chore. It sort of loses its appeal after that. And
I would absolutely say that Destiny is definitely, or Destiny 2 would definitely be seen as a job, for the average player type thing.
Okay. Brent, what do you think about this one? Mostly quiet on this one.
I think there's something we haven't really discussed, and that's that Sony has a television and film studio, and video game movies and TV shows are being a big thing right now.
I mean, you've jumped ahead.
Sonic, was one of the top grossing films of 2020, and
that's because all the cinemas were.
Halo series coming soon. So maybe Sony was thinking of getting in on some of that. They got the Uncharted movie coming out soon. If they're going to buy something to make a movie or TV show out of, what would you want them to do? And I feel like Destiny could work. I think they could make
as a television
decent
show, it could work.
Movie or show in the Destiny universe.
Haven't Bungie already sort of put out the feelers for wanting to do a Destiny type show or movie?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I feel like that might have had something to do with this, and I think that might have a little bit more to do with how Sony's going to recoup some of this money. Trying to sell this TV show or movie in the Destiny
I mean,
universe.
but do they really need to recoup $3 billion? I don't know what they make. I have no idea what they make of the year.
No idea, but it would depend on how much the cost of consoles is to the profit that they're making on it.
I mean, they wouldn't spend $3 billion on a company if they thought it would be a loss leader. They
Yeah,
would.
true.
The whole point of investing in a company like that is because you will make your money back and more.
I think, again, I know we're kind of rehashing the same thing here, but I think they'll make their money back on the back end tech in no time. In no time. Yeah.
I think in terms of the purchasing it within Destiny, they could probably make a lot of that back anyway.
Yeah. What were you saying, Gadget?
I was going to say, with the back end tech, it's not so much that they would make the money back on it. It means they don't have to invest the money into it. They don't have to waste the time and spend the time building.
Yeah, fair point.
It's the way that Apple do things. Like all of Apple's augmented reality stuff for iPhones was just different companies that they bought who already had the tech. They didn't have to invest in research and development. They just bought the companies that had the tech.
Yes.
This is what Sony's doing right now. In terms of the films and TV show stuff, is there a need or a want for a Destiny TV show or a film? It's a fairly incomprehensible plot as it is.
I think
I could see books or comic books being written. That would make more sense to me than a TV show.
Well, I was going to say, if it was a serial, if they were trying to kind of jump on this whole, like the Star Wars serial,
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that kind of thing, or even the new Halo series that's coming out. If they want to do a serial focus on one character, I think they could do it. But overall,
it's a lot to ask for the civilian audience to put up with some of the bullshit that Destiny puts out there. It's very space fantasy stuff. It's hard going even for a sci-fi nerd like me at times.
Oh, I can tell you that as a sci-fi fan. It was hard.
It combines.
And remember, that wizard came from the bloody moon. I don't care what anybody says.
Wizard came from the moon. But that's the thing. It combines magic with future stuff. That was kind of hard for me. That was the hardest bite for me to take out of it when we first started playing. Was it? Oh, there's magic involved. So I don't think it would work as, let's say, a movie at all. I just could not see it working as a movie unless it was maybe plotted out for like a 5-series movie. But
yeah, they also need to, if they're going to put it into a TV show or something, they need to actually sort out some of the plot threads. Like they need to explain what the Traveler is.
Right, they still haven't explained that.
Yeah, because a TV
I don't
audience.
think they have to do anything with the main story. They could do prequels of the characters that we know.
Well, see,
there could be a prequel for Cade 6.
That's what I'm saying. It would have to be, honestly, let's be honest, their first one would have to be Cade 6 anyway. Cade 6 is just Deadpool. They'd have to just, that would be their lead-off character. He's the most beloved character in the franchise. But in order to do that, you'd still have to explain, you'd have to do world building. And that's really a tough thing. They'd have to get like
you have to have reasons why in the space of three planets in the same solar system, you've got 3 races that are trying to knock the level of and shit out of each other at any given opportunity.
Yeah, and there's even still some. And
but you've got interstellar travel, but for some reason until Destiny 2. The Cabal on Mars don't decide to just invade Earth and Venus. No, absolutely. We'll stay here. We can go to the far end of the bloody galaxy, but no, Earth. Bit too difficult. Not doing that.
Well, the Cabal was exactly who I was about to bring up, which would be they'd be the toughest ones to explain, and that's why. I mean, and even now we have a alliance with the Cabal, and they still attack you, and I'm not quite sure. I'm sure I've missed a piece of lore somewhere, but you'd have to explain that.
Terrible writing. Putting that out there. Terrible writing.
There's that too.
I'm not saying anything more.
I think there's a difference in between a character-driven story, which they've gotten much better at, and world building. Which world building is important, of course, to your characters, but I think they let the world building kind of go to this wayside, and I think that's been detrimental to what's coming out now, and I think that's why they're going to have to end it and start Destiny 3 and start all over. It won't be all over, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They didn't do any world building in the first one.
Yeah. Well,
Context for anything. Oh,
They did it
you've
in
earned a new
books.
grimoire. Go onto
I was
a website and look up your blood
See?
stuff. Put it in the fucking game.
they put it in books, and that was not smart. And now they've got
No.
in-game lore, but you still have to read a lot of it.
So it's
Yeah,
not
that's what
told to
put me
you.
off of it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, reading in games, this should be banned. But, anyway,
But I'm the type of person, I would read all the Oblivion and Skyrim books, which was a lot.
They were also badly written.
They were terrible, but I liked the idea of like, ooh, and you would find out some lore and stuff.
Yeah, that's
but...
small bits and nuggets of lore in
Yeah,
there.
but remember, I'm like,
aside from the bad writing.
I love lore. I love lore.
I know you do.
I love
so
lamps
this is
and
probably
lore.
it's why Destiny appeals to you in a massive way.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, let's face it. I am Destiny's target audience. I'm going to include Kieran in that. Lore, weeklies, dailies, loot, looter shooter, PvP and PvE. But I am not the majority of game players out there. I think Sony knows that. And I think in addition to purchasing Bungie, I mean, I know that they said Bungie's got more IPs coming out for Sony. I don't know how that's gonna work.
They've got one unannounced games that they're working on at the moment, haven't they?
Yep.
But I don't see any others outside of that. Like,
Give me a new marathon game. I'd love a new
Well, I was gonna
game.
say,
Those games.
if they go back and dig out Marathon, maybe. But I cannot imagine. It's been so long since they've done a standalone game. Can they do it? Type of thing. It'll be interesting. I will buy it because I am a Bungie fangirl. I buy all Bethesda's stuff.
For your sins.
Except
I'm
Fallout
pretty
76.
pretty sure you and Candy from Modern Escapers will get along very well then.
You'll be buying a PlayStation soon, Kylie, to get a Ghostwire Protocol then.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire,
Yeah, it's Tokyo. Yeah, because we talked about that not too long ago, as a matter of fact. And yeah, I'm intrigued.
I might even pick that up. It does look interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But I know I keep saying interesting, but I mean it. Oh yeah, because remember I wasn't supposed to say interesting anymore. Oh well, that rule has been suspended for this episode. But I do think it will be interesting to see what Bungie comes up with. Like if they're given the freedom to create, what can they come up with? If Sony gives them the freedom.
I think they will. Sony don't tend to give their studios a lot of time and a lot of freedom to be able to do mostly what they like.
Yeah.
So it will be good to see that. But that does lead on to another point, obviously, that I wanted to try and bring up, and I'm going to go to Brent on this one first. They're going to run support probably on quite a few games in the background with the plans to have 10 live service games coming out before 2026. One of the games that is touted to be a live service game is the apparent reboot of Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like Bungie could put a few developers into the support and helping them with the live service aspects of that game?
Yeah, I guess. If they're not having to, do all the mechanics for a car game that they've never had to do, and they just had to, run the content system and the loot boxes, which will inevitably be in any live service game. Then yeah, I think they could do that.
How would you do a looter shooter with a car game? Oh, I love Twisted Metal.
I mean,
You wouldn't do a looter shooter, but you would do a Rocket League.
Oh, it would be like Rocket League, wouldn't it? Yeah, I could get on board with that.
Yeah, it would be like death matches, wouldn't it? Like with just customizable vehicles more than anything. So whilst most people would probably want to play a single player mode for that and just play a Sweet Tooth, it's not going to happen, through the multiplayer aspect. Everyone's going to want to have a customized vehicle or customized character.
Yeah, if you get like weapon drops for your vehicle, because that's the fun bit. Oh god, I love Twisted Metal. But
Yeah, they won't call them Ingrams then.
no, it's true. Maybe like
No,
tires or something, or tool chests.
I was going to say, what kind of
Yeah.
terrible name could they come up with for the loot boxes in that game?
Oh goodness, donuts.
Toolbox probably the best.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Hey, Gadget, what do you reckon? You reckon they could be involved in that project in some way?
I mean, if they're using Destiny's back-end tech, then they'd kind of have to be. They'd be the subject matter experts. They'd be the developers brought in to go, hey, this is the stuff we've built. This is how you integrate it into your game. This is how you run it. This is what you do with this error code. This is what you do with that error code, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, if they're going to license out Bungie's tech to Sony's own developers, then of course they'll have to.
Yeah.
But it's not like they would be there. They wouldn't be integrating with other studios. They would be there as a consultancy basis.
Right.
It's how this tech works. It's how if you work in corporate IT at any point, you buy in a bit of tech, you get a consultant from that company who will show you how to use it. They'll be there on site for 12 weeks, and then they'll bugger off because you'll know how to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way these things work. So that'll be all that happened. It won't be a case of that there will be staff from Bungie permanently helping out on these games. They will help them get it integrated, and then it's up to them to work it out from there.
Sure. I think it's interesting anyway. Either way you look at it, like they're going to help in some way with expanding the scope of Sony's properties into the live service model, which something they haven't really done before. So
is that necessarily a good thing though? Like I said before, if they plan to launch so many live service games, you're just going to saturate the market and no one will play them.
Eventually, they will saturate the market by doing so. I
Like,
think by having.
What was that PS5 launch? It was Destruction All Stars or something. No one talks about that anymore. That was
We-
supposed to be like
we-
a Fortnite killer.
We choose not to speak about that one.
I'm
They put it on. They put it on PlayStation Plus for its first month on the market. They knew it was deemed to fail.
I wanted it to be so good though.
Yeah, that worked with Rocket League though. Rocket League was
Yeah,
a PS Plus
exactly.
game when it dropped, and it became one of the biggest games in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The point is the game wasn't unique enough in itself.
No.
It was so forgettable. But it was another live service game, and because it's live, it's the same with Knockout City. Knockout City's great fun, but not enough people are playing it for it to kind of keep itself in the zeitgeist. And that's another live service game, and it's just disappeared effectively. I had a great time playing that in its first couple of months when it was out. Then just no one was playing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did hear that it was great. Actually, it had some really interesting mechanics in it. I just haven't got around to playing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've got a fantastic clip of us streaming it, me getting a fantastic kill on Oodles when I threw him a bomb and he didn't realize it was, and he just held onto it and exploded.
Excellent.
But yeah, these are all live service games that just disappear into the ether. What's it? Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
Fall Guys had great success in its first few months because it was on PlayStation Plus and loads of people playing it.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of ticking over now in the background. Some people are still playing it, but it's not nowhere near the juggernaut that it was in its
Not
first
that it
month
was.
or so.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
whereas games like Destiny and Warframe and stuff like that, they've managed to keep a pretty heavy user base going on through constant content, but that's because they had the financial backing and the push to become the big boys from the start. They were well hyped. They were huge production values. Bungie obviously had the Halo guys game, and the game is just Halo. It plays exactly like Halo. The controls are the same as Halo, for God's sakes.
Yes, they are.
So like people were already excited for that when it came out, and the first game was a bit of a damp squib in places. It did well, but it wasn't the world-changing epoch that everyone expected it to be. But then Destiny 2 came out and refined the formula, and it has become a game that is consistently popular. It's not the biggest game in the world by any means, but it's big enough to be a self-sustaining economy where people are willing to keep putting money into it. And that's why, when Bungie left Activision, they bought the rights for the game back from them for $200 million.
Right.
And now they've just been acquired by Sony for $3.6 billion. That's showing that the brand has worth and it's growing, or at least the technology in the background has the worth and is growing. So, yeah, it's just... So Sony are going the wrong path by having this idea of loads of live service games. What they need to do is they need to release one big good one and have that run alongside Destiny.
Yep.
That's what they need to do. But they're going to shit the bed if they keep doing it the way they're doing it. But hey, it worked out for Bungie. They've got a lot of money.
It's true. And Sony got a really expensive IT department. So Everybody
I mean,
wins.
Sony is pretty much an expensive IT department.
Well, I do like their hardware. I can't deny that.
I think the problem with the live service games is they have to end eventually. It's like every week I'm hearing about some live service game with the servers being shut down, the games being delisted, and the microtransactions being shut off. You can't keep them going forever.
I don't want it
so
to end.
Trying to focus your whole gaming sector on that is going to bite you in the end because they're all going to go away. Whether that's because people aren't playing them or they're just old and out of date or whatever, just things happen and you can't keep them going.
Yeah. Sadly, that's true.
So let's get into the realms of speculation here now, shall we?
Wait, we haven't been doing that thus far.
No, I meant real, like, next steps of speculation here. So kind of like in the same principle as everyone was trying to predict Microsoft's next acquisition. How do we feel Sony are going to move forward in terms of acquisitions? Do you feel they're gonna start shopping around for another studio? Will we hear something this year, or if they do something, is it more likely to be next year?
I think Sony will try and get one of the Japanese big boys. I think they'll probably try for Konami. Konami's got a lot of IPs that aren't being used at the minute, but there's a lot of brand recognition with them. The idea of putting out another Silent Hill or another Metal Gear game or another Castlevania game, basically everything that Konami have not been interested in doing. That seems to be the sensible thing, because as a brand, Konami's big in Japan, but not really around the world, and they're only big in Japan because of the bloody pachinko machines.
Right.
Talked about I might have to disagree with you there because they are big in Las Vegas.
Well, evidently.
I think there's a problem with Konami, though, in that they don't only do video games. They also have Yu-Gi-Oh! So there becomes a lot of antitrust laws and things to try to navigate. I guess they could try to buy just the gaming sector of Konami.
I think what more likely what they'll probably do is probably try and buy the IPs for those games and bring them in house and have their own developers working on them. Like I've heard loads of people going, oh well, Sony should buy Capcom, they should buy Square Enix. Capcom and Square Enix cost more than Sony. They are not going to buy them. Like,
no.
Capcom has a huge market capitalization. Square Enix, I mean, God, no one wants to buy Square Enix. They're just scummy. The only good thing about buying Square Enix is you get the Final Fantasy IP.
Let's admit it. Final Fantasy has essentially been on the PlayStation since 7 and has not really come off it too many opportunities. So you could essentially say that it is a mostly first-party IP. Let's at this point.
Final Fantasy 16 to PS5 exclusive for the first year or so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think the problem is, right, and as much as I want to agree with you on Konami on this one, I really do not see Konami, selling the IPs off. Mainly because
I know it's...
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, it's because they're idiots that don't like money. They know that they can make another Silent Hill game and everyone would buy it. They know they can make a good... We're not talking Metal Gear Survive. That one can get in the bin. They can make something in the Metal Gear universe and people would buy it.
Yeah.
But no, instead they put out eFootball.
Yeah.
What a load of shite that was! Bloody football! The faces on those players, the few players they actually took the money to actually get the likenesses for and scan them in, and they look like they're being made out of bloody Play-Doh.
Yes.
So Konami are idiots.
Yes.
So if Sony could just take those licenses away from them, that would be great.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. But the only problem with that is that unfortunately the IPs are helping to fund their gambling division, let's say, because the amount of, like you said, with the pachinko machines, they have Silent Hill slot machines and stuff like that in Vegas, which is why I said they're big in Vegas. You literally fly into Vegas at McCarran Airport, and they have a warehouse on the actual strip. They're massive there. Like they've got a lot of slots games within the casinos in Las Vegas, and they're mostly fueled by their IPs. So I don't see them just shifting on the IPs. They would have to get rid of every part of the business, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm happy for Konami to disappear.
Me too.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
we've made it very aware on this show what our opinions on Konami is,
I
like,
would
in a
like
major
to
way.
see, but I would like to see another Silent Hill game.
Yeah, I think the main thing that Sony are missing now are basically a Japanese dev house.
Mm-hmm.
So either they were to take on Konami and put it as part of PlayStation Studios, or they were to acquire some smaller studio. I'd love to see them try to rein in Suda51. Just give him some money and just see what happens. Let's.
I'm pretty sure that Deadbeat probably just listened to that and just went, "Oh yeah."
I mean, if we could have a No More Heroes game that is technically competent, still just as weird,
Yeah, it'd have to
but
be.
has a
It's
solid
Suda. It
frame
has
rate.
to be weird.
Or maybe Deadly Premonition 2 in a way that works.
Yes. I could get on board with that.
If Sony are making these kind of big budget deals now, they do need to have some more what you would call artsy options as well. I think.
Sure.
Yeah,
The need, because Sony has been really detached from the smaller side of gaming for a long time. Like all the Sony exclusives of the last generations were third person, camera over the shoulder, open world, muscly man, average white guy kind of thing. It's just like they were all very generic games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
With
the
a slightly
cinematic-
different lick of paint.
Yeah, the cinematic experience, like you said, over
Yeah.
the shoulders. That was what sort of got me about the last generation, is that it felt like all the games were starting to go that way with Sony, and it became very dull, if I'm honest.
Well, didn't they say last year, or it was 2019, I don't remember, that they were solely going to focus on, quote, blockbusters only? So.
Which I think is a mistake, because they need to put
do.
out more weird games. More
Yeah.
like if
Japanese
you go back
games.
more Japanese games.
Okay,
Go back to
they
the
ruined-
original.
It's closing down Japan studios, though. If they wanted a leg up in the Japanese market, they already had it.
Yeah, but I mean, go back to the original PlayStation. You had random weirdness like Cooler World. You
Yeah.
get that these days coming from
Gosh.
Sony. Give us some weird stuff. Give us some of the artistic stuff. Give us some of the stuff that just celebrates gaming. Don't give us another bloody Nathan Drake copy. Stop hiring Troy Baker. All these different things
Yes, please.
that they seem to
stop
do
hiring him.
again and again and again. Just giving. I mean, there were two big exclusives of the last generation I really enjoyed, which were God of War and Death Stranding. But they both had the most generic setups. They were both just big open world games, artistically beautiful, wonderful graphics, wonderful production, all the money in the world thrown at them.
Oh, yeah.
But they were still over the shoulder open world exploration games.
Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
I'm just noticing the chat in Animals that Gadget's being like 10 rants this episode. Listen to Modern Escapism. This is a slow day for me.
Yeah. You do love a rant, so this is... It's why we got you here, because this is a very ranty topic, I guess. So, yeah, I want to see Ape Escape back. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, goodness.
Let's get Ape Escape back.
Pete's
Ape
been
Escape
on
is great.
that. He's been on that Ape Escape BS for
I've
for
been
years
for Ape
now.
Escape 4 for many years. Like, they teased it. It would look good.
We need to end the quadrilogy.
Well, do they? I don't know. I mean, we kind of had we had a PlayStation Move Ape Escape. We don't talk about that one.
Oh,
That doesn't
goodness.
count.
Exactly. That's why I said we don't talk about it. So, Brent, any studios you think that they might try and acquire?
My theory is correct in that they are trying to carve out a little bit of Xbox and maybe branching out more with the video game, movies, and TV shows. I think they would go with Sega because they can take a little bit from Nintendo that way. Because you have what are they calling it? Expansion Pass, Nintendo Online expansion that has all the Sega games. And they've got all those like Mario and Sonic Racing and Mario and Sonic Olympic and all that stuff. So they could take a little bit of that from Nintendo, but then they would also end up having some more of these movie and TV show IPs like Sonic, if that's what they're trying to do. It would also give them some Japanese studios, if that's something they're looking for.
That's
And I think-
true.
I don't know. I think it's tougher.
I think
now.
they would get a little bit more out of that deal from an IP perspective. We talk about Sonic being Sega's big thing, but there are a lot of other IPs that they could resurrect and make new games for, TV shows and whatnot. So I think that might be the direction they're going next.
When they get
If
the
they
Alien
can afford it.
franchise, if they get the Alien franchise, if they got Sega, because Sega own the rights to Alien, I think.
Do they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they would get Creative Assembly, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, we could have an Isolation 2 or something along those
That-
lines. That one.
We really need some form of that. I mean, it's hard to believe that came out in like 2014, I think, and there's been nothing since.
Came out just before Destiny did.
That's right. It did.
Yeah, and the fact that Isolation is now playable on a phone is
Yeah.
quite impressive.
That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me for several reasons. One, just woo, I'm blown away. But also, how is it? I mean, I don't know.
Should try the VR version of it.
See, that I think, okay, there's this kind of a running thing on this show. I've never played a game that's ever scared me, and yes, it includes Alien Isolation. I think in VR, I think I'd actually get scared for once, ever.
Did you play Resident Evil 7 in VR?
Resident Evil 7 in VR would not scare me.
Okay.
Too predictable. The monster is not. His pattern, her, the alien, is unpredictable.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there was something in the code, wasn't it, that made it very unpredictable. They tried to do the same with Colonial Marines and screwed it up.
Oh, yes. Let's not rehash that.
What, you mean the single typo that
Yes.
screwed it all up?
Yep,
One typo.
we covered that in the news once. And it was utterly
gosh.
hilarious. It just shows how terrible Gearbox are.
Ah,
Well,
yes.
it's Randy Pitchford. He gets his greasy hands on
I
everything.
was going to say, he's...
It's,
Ugh.
yeah. So Kylie, I can't remember whether or not you made a comment and specifically on a studio you might see them trying to acquire, if any.
I don't
the
think...
outlier here and say they're not.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to acquire a studio. I think they're going to focus on becoming back-end experts. I think we're going to see a lot more, maybe, not just software, but type of things that they can own. You know, patents and stuff like that. Patents, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes, I think they're going to buy up more things in that kind of regards. And I think they're just going to steadily do that for like another year.
So do you feel like that Sony are probably going to help with the potential of that, potential buying of Stadia tech then?
Well, I think they kind of have to now. I don't know if they're allowing Bungie to purchase separately from them, which is possible. I mean, that may fall under their whole, indie status. But I think we'll see more acquisitions like that, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it would seem likely they might go
think
down
about it,
like that.
They bought up the tech for the Dual Sense. They bought the patent on that as well. Because the guy that created it was talking about it the other day. How...
Is it the haptic feedback or the adaptive triggers?
I'm not sure, but he was talking about how he created the entire thing and they just paid him a lump sum and then he went on his merry way. I think he was talking about the Bungie acquisition actually, and so I think we'll see a lot more of that type of purchasing where they purchase the patent, the technology, as opposed to IPs of characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, it probably does feel like that Microsoft are going after IPs, publishers, and all that, like, because the obvious way that they're looking at it is that Microsoft has no IPs, let's say, from years gone by. Well, now they have an absolute ton because they bought them.
Got a giant
Whereas
library now.
Sony have always had the IPs, but not exactly the method of delivery, I guess.
Yes.
But I don't know.
They put out the same 3 games over and over. Uncharted, God of War, and Last of Us.
Yeah, but that's only from the last generation. I think their output was a lot more bigger than.
No, it's Spider-Man. Yes, you're correct, Brent.
Yes,
you're correct.
But yes, a third person behind over the shoulder action game in an open world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a type. It's like Nintendo. So I think that's mostly covering everything really to do with this acquisition. I think we're sort of going to go round in circles really if we keep talking about the majority of things. So I'm just going to let you guys have some closing thoughts if you wanted to discuss it. So, Kylie, I do have the one final question to do for you though.
Sure. Oh,
Is
goodness.
as someone who is a self-proclaimed Bungie fangirl and a self-proclaimed Microsoft fangirl,
Yes.
the once darling of Microsoft is now under the banner of Sony.
Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel?
Well,
Did it feel like a betrayal at least?
I think you of all people could have seen or felt from my all caps shouting into the group chat. I won't lie. Okay, so when Bungie left Microsoft, I did feel betrayed. And I realized I was much younger and that was probably a lot of immaturity and, I didn't see it as business. I saw it as they're betraying me, And so now here we are all these years later. I'm still a Bungie fangirl. And now Sony, the devil, who's not really the devil, but in this instance, but Bungie, out of the blue, mind you, completely took me by surprise. I did feel betrayed at first. And I was just like, why do you do this? Why do you do this to me? But then that was a mixture of, I was afraid they were going to take Destiny 2 and make it exclusive. I know that is stupid, but I was not thinking logically. I was purely just like, what have they done? Why have they done this? But the more, of course, that I read about it and the more I learn and everything, it feels less like a betrayal and more like, well, what else were they going to do? They don't really have a direction, once Destiny 2 ends, in 2 years. They don't have what else are they going to do? Might as well have a fun adventure, So yes, for about 2 seconds it did feel like a massive betrayal, but I've accepted it now.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go to Brent on this one first. Your final thoughts on this entire subject?
I don't really care. Sony can have them. I liked Halo. That doesn't really mean anything now because that was years ago. I felt like Destiny didn't do good by me, all these expectations for this grand adventure and this, all these planets in this system and all this
Wizards
stuff, and
on
it just
the moon.
delivered. And then Destiny 2, sure, I guess was better, but then they went the whole route of taking content away, and that just doesn't sit right with me. So I really don't care. I don't play any modern Bungie games. Sony can have them. I'll play Warframe instead. It's a better version of Destiny anyway.
It's like they deserve each other.
Gadget, closing thoughts?
I think I've plenty of my thoughts already on this one. It's
Oh,
fine.
we need an epic last run.
Oh, for God's sakes, man. Okay, hang on. Right, let's wind up into this one. See if I can think of something I haven't ranted about yet. So I don't like, I said before, I don't like live service games. I don't particularly care for them, regardless whatever form they come in. I find them awkward and predatory and encourage players to constantly be parted from their money, where I just want to spend my 30, 40, 50, 60 pound on a game, play it, enjoy it, and be done with it. I don't want a game that's a job. So if Sony want to get into the live service market, that's very welcome for them to do that. They are going to fuck it up immensely. They are going to get it wrong. They are going to push it so hard because they want to gorge the market with these live service games. And it's going to fail because no matter how big a game that you put out, no matter how much money you funnel into the game, you're not going to beat Fortnite. You're not going to beat Destiny. You're not going to beat all of these existing live service games. Like, the tech is cool. What they do is really impressive with these things, like the back end stuff, how they function, how they serve content to players. That is really cool. The problem is the business practices suck, and they suck for the players. They're very anti-consumer things because all they're there to do is to give you pretty lights that get you addicted, make you work a second job for you to pay them to get your content. So, you know what? Sod it. I don't give a shit. But fine. Sony bought Bungie. Great. Wonderful. Let's see who buys who next. I'm waiting for the point where Microsoft just goes, fuck it, and they buy Sony. That'll happen at some point. I can see that happening.
Pretty sure the antitrust would definitely step in at that.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, unless they specifically buy only the gaming sector of Sony.
Oh, right. Good point. Oh,
No.
awesome.
Microsoft would be trolly about it. They go and buy Sony televisions or Sony pictures or something like that, just as they're driving into the office, just giving them the wanker symbol as they go past, just to really screw with them. Jim Ryan's there, sat eating his breakfast muffin, just sad, that kind of thing.
I think he does that anyway. He's a very sad man.
You did touch on a really good, interesting point there about the second job. Do you remember when Sony said about getting a second job to buy a PS3?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, hilarious that one.
They've always been out of touch.
Yeah, it was the original version of, you guys have phones, don't you? Kind of level of out of touch.
Oh, we covered that ad nauseum as well.
Oh gosh, they are so out of touch though.
Yeah, but Sony haven't had a really good track record of like being in touch with the user base.
Never.
Most of the stuff that Sony are in touch with is the stuff that they can connect to other things. So, like for instance, Spider-Man. That was something that worked really well because people were very much enjoying that came out after the first Tom Holland film, but before Spider-Verse, and there was a lot of hype around Spider-Man. And it also happened to be an absolutely banger of a game. I loved it. I thought it was great. But the stuff where they get in touch is because they happen upon these situations where they can kind of cross-communicate with a lot of their other properties. I think Uncharted is a big mistake to make a film of because it's already a very cinematic game. But they've also got... I love Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland's utterly adorable. Lovely little lad.
He's very adorable.
Yeah, he is not Nathan Drake.
No, he's not at all. Not at all. I could not believe that. And
what casting director thinks the perfect person to play Sully is Marky fucking Mark?
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to mention that too.
Exactly.
Stop casting Mark Wahlberg in beloved things. He's not a good actor.
In anything, just stop casting him. Full stop. No, but you know what? Also, I've noticed during the released footage and the trailers and stuff, they've purposely given it a kind of uncanny valley feel so that it feels like a video game. But that's weird to me because it's like you play a video game that's trying to look like a movie, and now they've put a movie out that's trying to look like a video game. Why don't you just play the game?
It's not even just that. It's just every part in the trailer are all cutscenes from a previous Uncharted game.
And that too. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. I just think it's a bad idea.
But it is a bad idea, especially when Sony puts out cinematic first-party games. Like, God, I mean, I'm concerned about this Last of Us TV show because it's supposed to tread exactly the same story as the original game. It's like, why? We've seen that. Give us something else in that world. You've got an entire bloody America where it's gone shit. Give us something else going on somewhere else. You know, use the setting, but don't use the same characters. But no, you've got exactly the same characters going through. I don't need the story retold for me.
Right.
I don't need Mark Wahlberg without a mustache claiming to be Sully. I do. It's annoyed me, that one.
That's really ruffled your feathers, isn't it?
He needs the mustache, and he needs to not be Marky Mark.
I was gonna
say it's just a simple solution to a stupid problem they've engineered for themselves.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't get why Marky Mark is still, hired as an actor.
Oh my goodness.
I don't get it. I really don't. But that's a whole other discussion for another day, I think.
There is also the other thing with the Uncharted film. The last thing I'll say on it is that the games have a pretty established connection of how Drake met Sully, and the film appears to be not doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand it. I don't get it. And why not? Nathan Fillion. That just makes the most sense.
Because at this point he's far too old. Right? If they'd done a film 10 years ago, he would have been the right age for it.
Yeah.
But circling back to the original point I was trying to make, Sony are pretty out of touch with their actual user base.
Yes.
So the way Sony stay in touch with the user base is just better off than buying studios or anything like that. Is just signing exclusivity deals with people with games that are really well hyped. Like Deathloop sold PlayStations.
Oh right,
it's only exclusive on Sony for a year, but it sold PlayStations. Same Ghostwire Tokyo will probably do the same because I know a lot of people are very hyped for that one. And I'm quite surprised that they didn't try and get Elden Ring to be exclusive for a while, considering Elden Ring wouldn't exist were it not for Japan Studio, because Japan Studio helped From Software build the engine for Demon Souls. You know,
Yeah.
there you go. There's an acquisition one. They could probably try for FromSoft. That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah,
I heard there was something a bit awkward with the FromSoft a potential acquisition because they have a lot of other media, or they hold a lot of IPs, I think, elsewhere. So, like, I think I heard this. It was something to do with an anime or something they have that just would cause it a lot of problems.
Probably something Armored Core related.
Wouldn't surprise me as well, cause, considering they're trying to do another one of those, apparently.
Yeah, which I'd be excited for. I know Oodles is jumping up and down on the bed for that one. But yeah, my thoughts are Sony are out of touch, and they're going to keep making live service games. They're going to absolutely bottle it, but the tech will be cool because they've bought Bungie's tech.
It's true.
Yeah, Kylie, any further points?
No, I don't really have much more to say. Just that I think the next 2 years will be interesting to see what direction everything goes in. I do think live service games will have their moment in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But I do think 10 live service games is an oversaturation. I mean, maybe if they did like one sports game, one fantasy game, one, this or whatever, but
Yeah, I think that's how Xbox gets away with it.
yeah.
Because they have Halo, I guess, could be a live service. Forza's kind of a live service.
They have Elder Scrolls now, I guess.
Yeah, so they're all kind of different markets, and you don't get a lot of people there trying to do all of them.
As long as they don't do a post-apocalyptic something set in
third person over the shoulder exploration.
It's set in 2076 or 2776 or whatever.
Isn't that technically Destiny anyway? That is a post-apocalyptic science fiction, sometimes over the shoulder kind of thing.
It is, and you know what? I actually wished it was more over the shoulder because it helps me jump better. I have to switch to holding a sword in order to jump.
Yeah, I was going to say, just be a sword user the whole time then.
Yeah. But I play as a Titan, and they're just not known for their mobility and jumping abilities. So I'm blaming it on that. Not my lack of depth perception and spatial unawareness.
Yeah, we did have a few comments, obviously, whilst we were talking through this, so I'll just run through them. Nana has put quite a fair few of them, but we'll go back to the reprobate himself, Deadbeat Punk, who said nothing would be better than something in that case. Can't remember what that was even in reference to now.
I should have noted it.
Probably should have done, yeah. Anyway, Nana has put, Pete, Nintendo will never learn. They still use Windows 98. This is not a joke. Yep. I'm aware of their terrible infrastructure system. He asked, did you see the cover for MLB The Show this year?
Mm-mm.
I can't say I did, actually. Yeah. He then asked, Kylie, you are in a tower of money.
I found out last week. I paid my taxes. I'm in the top 25 percentile of earners in the entire UK.
Brilliant. You pay more than Bezos.
No, well, yes. Actually, I probably do. Being that he pays zero.
Well, yeah, because he uses Ireland as a tax haven.
We won't talk about that.
No, let's not go into. He also said if they didn't buy Bluepoint, they would have done. Yep, I think that's a fine acquisition by them. The IP rumor has gone on for so long now. He then said that Deadly Premonition was not Suda51, it's a sweary game.
That's right.
Oh, they're interchangeable at times.
Yeah, they really can be.
They're both very strange Japanese men that do strange games.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's that other one that's not Deadly Premonition? The one that's out, no, I can't remember. It's just the same exact game, just a different name, but I can't remember.
What, No More Heroes?
No, not No More Heroes. I'll never remember it.
Shadow of the Damned?
Oh, no.
I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It'll come to me.
Yeah, it will happen later on when you're sitting
exactly.
outside of the recording. Be like, oh yeah, that was it. So said, Gravity Rush, please come back.
Which one's Gravity Rush? I know we talked
Aliens
about
or
that.
Gravity Rush?
I
like
forgot.
Gravity Rush. Great game. Didn't play the second one, but I really liked the first one when the brief time I had a Vita.
Ooh.
Got love for the Vita.
That's
I
one
need
thing
to
we
play
didn't
Gravity
talk
Rush,
about.
actually.
We
What?
should have talked about. I wonder if they'll buy handheld tech.
No, they're
No.
not
You
going
don't
back
think
in a
so?
handheld.
It's gonna just be
No.
Nintendo from here on out.
Nintendo dominate that market. They've taken out Sega
I was gonna
and
say they don't
like,
just
Sony at
dominate
this
it; they're
point.
it.
Yeah,
There isn't
they don't
any
need to.
handheld.
The only other
But there-
handheld on the market is technically
There's different
Xbox.
competitions now. Like Netflix is starting to buy studios so you can
Oh,
put games
yeah.
on your phone with a Netflix
Yeah.
subscription. So
Yeah,
It's
fair
true.
point. Yeah, there's not really much of a competition for Nintendo in terms of the handheld market. They just absolutely dominate every single time, for some reason. What would they do with the Stadia tech, though? That stuff failed.
The tech didn't fail. The tech for Stadia is brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. The problem with the Stadia is the business model failed because when Stadia was first announced, everyone was like, "Ooh, interesting," and everyone assumed it would be like because there was this Stadia Premium or Stadia Plus or whatever it was called.
I think it was Stadia Pro.
Pro, that's it. And everyone says, "Oh, so this is what? This is gonna be like Netflix of games." So like you just go on, you stream the game, you pay like 20 quid a month or something like that, and everyone was really hyped for that. And they went,
Yeah.
"Oh no, you pay your £20 a month, and then you pay £54 per game." And everyone was like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm fine. Don't need to. That's fine."
Yeah.
That was exactly what put me off with Stadia as well. Is I like the idea of the tech being implemented, and Google do tend to create some decent tech in terms of that.
I mean, think about
They just
Chromebook.
don't support it for very long. Like if it's a venture property that hasn't exactly succeeded within the first 6 months to a year, they tend to sort of take it round back and shoot it.
Google Glass.
Yeah, but the actual tech in Stadia was really, really good. It's just the problem is Google shit the bed with the business side of it because no one was going to pay £54 to play Red Dead Redemption 2 again when they could buy it secondhand on PlayStation
Right.
for like 20.
Right.
Yeah. It
Like
wasn't-
or
I
on
played
Game Pass when it was on Game Pass.
or on Game Pass, yeah.
yeah.
Like I've played Destiny 2 on Stadia on the trial. Great, worked fantastically. Really nice to just click the button and then boom, your game's there. And it's just like no loading screens, nothing like that. It was super fast. I really liked it.
I had it with Terraria actually. It was run very, very well in the Stadia version.
Yeah, but I was not going to pay for that service. Good God, no, terrible service. But the functionally and technically, it was absolutely brilliant. So, if Sony could leverage something like that, one, they could make PlayStation Now a worthwhile proposition, and two, they could actually just have a different offering. They could be the first one to jump into this idea of a console-less market, taking that technology and just putting a Netflix of games out there. Like, it doesn't have to replace PlayStation.
I wouldn't say they're the first. I feel like Xbox is already headed that way.
Well, yeah, no, but
there,
yeah, but what Xbox, the way I'm kind of seeing it is packaging up like Stadia did, where you just basically get a controller and that's it, you know? Whereas like xCloud is like, at the minute, it's not really quote unquote out. It's like still in beta and it's part of Game Pass.
Yeah.
But I think Sony might want to try and be the first people to push to the idea of going, buy a DualSense and you can just play games on your telly. You know, you don't need the console, you don't need an extra dongle or whatever. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what they might push
right
for.
there too.
Yeah, so you feel like they might end up developing like an app in smart TVs that you can just hook up your DualSense controller via Bluetooth and just go,
Sony
there you
already
go,
makes
there's a game.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just include it with a Bravia telly.
That's actually could be heading in that direction.
Fair point. He then finishes up and says Mark was supposed to be Nathan Drake.
He'd be a terrible Nathan Drake.
Yeah, he's
just terrible.
Anything. Yeah. Oh Jesus.
I just picture him
Might be an okay bad guy.
Maybe he did play like a really scary murderer once in the old movie. But I just always picture him in what was it? Is it in he's not Signs, the other one. Anyway, the other M. Night Shyamalan movie he was in.
Oh, The Happening.
Yeah, and he's like, what? What? That's like all he does.
His face the whole time.
What? That movie's
I mean, that was a terrible movie anyway. Like, he wasn't going to redeem that in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But that doesn't matter anyway. So, I think that's going to do us. So, I'll go to Gadget and feel free to plug yourself and your podcast.
Yeah, I get it. I am part of Modern Escapism. We talk weekly about whatever bullshit that we've been doing that's not politics or news or anything like that.
Oh, nice.
This week's episode we're recording this week is our favourite and least favourite weapons.
Yes.
So in video games, TV, that kind of thing. So that'll be an interesting little chat. We also do a D&D podcast called Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, where I am the DM and I'm subjecting my Modern Escapism compatriots through a homebrew world of my own creation. Much to my annoyance, they keep surviving. I'm trying to kill them with every fibre of my being, but unfortunately they keep living, and it's very annoying, very annoying. But yeah, so you can find both of those, Modern Escapism and Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, on all podcasting services. We've got a website, modernescapism.co.uk. Follow us on Twitter at Modern Escapism. Give us money on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Modern Escapism. And I'm running out of breath to say these words, so I'm going to leave it there.
I mean, considering you never usually do the
he's
socials,
passed
you did a
out.
pretty good job on that one. Yeah. Brent, do you want to plug yourself and any other outlets you might write for?
I go by Apophis 1989 most everywhere on socials. My Twitch is a little different. It's Apophis 89. I usually stream some game that I'm reviewing, so that's sometimes before official release. Next up for my rapid reviews will be Paparazzi. I played a little bit of that already, and I should get that finished this week. I don't know when it will end up on the site, but you can look for that on Rapid Reviews main page. I also write for Mental Health Gaming, so you can find me over there, mentalhealthgaming.com. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you. Kylie, like yourself?
Am I leaking?
This is what I've got to deal with every week.
Usually I'm drunk. And I haven't drank at all today.
Yeah, this is a rare sight that you would be sober.
Yes. Well, I wanted to have all my brain powers going in case you asked me anything difficult. But, like my Twitter handle, which I have to take a second and remember. Yes, you can find me on Twitter, where I am always talking nonsense and nothing else. At KILAYTEHGREET. And that's really all I'm doing right now that I can talk about. But
You may have something else coming out in the next day or so.
Yeah. After you download this episode and listen to it and digest it and sit and meditate on it for a little while, and then have your lunch, and then possibly come home and walk your dog, and then maybe have your dinner, possibly after a bath, catch me on, I don't know the letters, so I'm just going to say, What the Frick Do You Want podcast, where I will be guesting on with our co-chat Chad, deadbeat punk.
Known as the sweary Irishman.
Yes, and it was a lot of fun. I was absolutely, completely wasted. So every time I listen to it, I hear new things because I don't remember what I said. But it was fun. It was so much fun. So catch that. But not till after this one. This one first. Pete, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Pete Beckett1, as spelled BECKETT and the number 1. I'm here nearly every week, and I'm also on the Never Watchers podcast, which is an MCU based podcast, which you can find on other good podcast players. We're finally on to the TV shows, which I'm going in blind for, so which is going to be a very interesting prospect. So there'll be a new episode, I believe, in the next coming week, because I think we're due to record this week.
Excellent. Very good.
That is gonna do us for the show today. Thank you very much for everyone who participated in the discussion. So Gadget, Brent, and Kylie. Thank you to the audience the live audience that we've had asking questions or commenting, communicating. But most of all, we want to thank you for listening at home.
And
So
thank
with
you,
that said-
Pete. Thank you, Pete, for hosting.
tough work, you know. I know how you feel. Anyway, so that's going to do us for this episode. And like Oodles, I cannot close a damn show. So we're going to leave it here. So we will see you and talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, so we're still on for another minute or two on
Yeah,
Twitchy.
just closing out the stream. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gadget, there was a lot of ranting in there. We love it.
Oh, it's great.
We do love a good rant on here.
You're welcome.
You can be the ranter, and I'll be the monologue.
There you go.
Yeah.
We
Wow,
ran
that
out.
sounds like a Stereophonics album.
Oh, it's like a buddy cop movie.
That too.
The ranter. Ah.
I don't know why I thought of Stereophonics on that one. Not
God,
sure.
I
The bartender and the thief.
That's probably why, actually. Yeah. I'd forgotten what the name of the actual song was. That's probably what it was. Maybe I just want to forget they exist.
Right.
I
That's a great
like
song.
them. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. I'll be honest. I'm not a big fan
Why am I not surprised, Pete?
because I like old man progressive, like prog rock. That's why.
Yes.
Well, so do I, but I also like a couple of Stereophonic songs. Like
Yeah.
Bartender and the Thief's a banger. Absolute jam.
It's good.
So is Thousand Trees. It's an incredible song.
Actually, yeah, I'll give you that. Thousand Trees is not bad. Fair enough. That's dead conversation there.
It's weird not hosting, Pete.
Go back to hosting then.
But I was really good. I didn't rebel and I didn't make any jokes. Hardly. Okay, I did a few.
You tried.
But I didn't try to wrestle control away from you, which I'm very proud of myself for.
Okay, fair enough. That wasn't it, like last time when I had to host a show. You did try and wrestle control from it every single time.
Well,
So
I listened back to that not too long ago, and the first half is me being all mad and sulky, and I don't know why, because I'm the one that asked you to host. And then the second half is me wresting control back from you.
I don't know how I've got through 110 episodes of this.
110. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. And then last week we recorded on an iPad. But we did it.
Yeah,
we put it out.
I wish I didn't have to though, because I kept looking at that through the edit process going.
Yeah,
I'm
Pete's.
not happy with this.
I told Pete, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go record in the bathroom. And I thought he was going to have a heart attack. Because he was like, the echo! Oh, no, I can't handle it. I won't be able to edit it.
Okay, Gadget, as someone who's a sound engineer, your first question usually would be to someone, do you have headphones?
Usually.
Right.
Actually, to be fair, no, that's usually an implicit thing. Like you either have a microphone that has no response on this side, so
Right.
you can have
Yep.
speakers on, or you have headphones.
Yes. Well, Kylie had neither.
Yeah, because it's the
No
iPad.
headphones for her iPad, so it was all done. I'm surprised I didn't get any like residual kickback through like echoes.
I should have done.
I'm
I should have went to
really
the bathroom
surprised.
and sat in the bathtub, and let it just bounce off of every corner.
That's
you would've
just
done
cruel.
that-
Why would you do that to your editor?
If you would have done that, I would have. In all honesty, I know Gadget has done a fair few. I would have fucking killed you for that. I would have fucked you up. And I mean verbally, not literally.
Maybe I should upgrade my setup. Maybe I should get some headphones or something.
That might help.
It
but
would
yeah,
help a
like,
bit.
it seems like the sound quality coming from your side, it's never usually that bad anyway. It's just we had one instance.
Discord's got a pretty good noise cancelling when you're not
Yeah.
speaking, kind of thing.
Yeah, that is the good thing about it. Is like the technology on there is at least half decent, I guess. So it does come through pretty all right. But yeah, we did have one episode where I'm not going into it anymore, but there was a certain someone who did not have a good microphone
We
or a set of
also
headphones.
did an episode that had zero audio completely.
I was fuming at that one, let's say.
I don't know.
Wasn't there an issue with Oodles last week? Was it last week Oodles was on, or the week before?
The week before, I think.
Do you remember him saying that some audio might have been lost or something like that?
No, the stream went down.
Oh, the stream,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Kylie's computer was clearly like having
Oh,
that
it was-
moment where it was like, I'm gonna die soon, and I'm just gonna kick you out of this call. Like,
Oh my
just
God. And then it
stop
died.
streaming. So much like what happened at the beginning of this one. where
No,
it just-
this one was different. This one was
Oh, I know.
somebody trying, some weird person I've never tried to.
Oh, I know.
call.
I just meant the fact that the
That's
stream
weird.
went down and just died and then.
Oh,
came
yeah,
back
died
up,
a death.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was halfway through the recording, not actually.
No, actually, I think Oodles was, we couldn't hear him at first. He was talking, and then it got sorted in like no time. But yeah.
Yeah, a couple of minutes. The first time, when he first came in, couldn't hear him or anything.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I didn't get the sound of his chair too much.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, it's because he stuffed it full of cotton wool.
Oh, I might need some pointers on that one. I think my chair's a bit too squeaky.
I was gonna say, you don't pick my chair
mostly still.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Oodle's got ADHD. He cannot sit still.
No, that was the one thing that we did notice from last week, is that he messaged me afterwards and said, yeah, Kylie moves around quite a lot, doesn't she?
It's you. It's true. That's why our podcast can't be longer than an hour and a half to 2 hours, because, when we do Game of the Year, I'm like...
Yeah, how did you get through Game of the Year? Every year we've done it.
That's why we have to take breaks, because I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot focus and sit still. Oh, and you can tell when my focus is gone, because I start talking about rainbows and I don't know, things going on outside. I talk about the video games just go out the window.
You're like a sports commentator. Like, there's a famous example of one who literally comments on buses that go past in cricket.
Oh. Oh my gosh, those kill me though. Those Game of the Year episodes, they kill me. That's why I have to be like completely full bottle of wine, because I just can't. I can't.
Oh, it's intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I have to start doing jumping jacks or something.
If the community voting went well this year, maybe next time we'll have the community vote for the first bracket. So
yeah, possibly actually.
Effectively cut down all the choices to have.
That's true.
Yeah, because we always do 16 game bracket, don't we? And it takes... I'm just about to look up the episode length.
Oh, goodness.
Game of the Year. I think it was about 3.5 hours, I want to say.
Once we start hitting that, like once we go past 2 hours, my brain just starts frying in its own juices. And I just can't. I can't do it.
I don't think we haven't done an episode that long. The closest we got was when we had sequelizers on the Patreon version of that show, was 3 hours 15.
Oof, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, that was a long one, but
even the D&D games don't last that long.
No, with the D&D ones, we record for about 4 hours and it gets split into 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to keep the D&D episodes somewhere between 1 and 2 hours, because just for people's attention span.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we try to split them out. But yeah, we record for about 4 hours at a time, but it's like plenty of breaks in the middle because I'm editing it down. So
right.
Yeah, and I think, isn't it a sort of thing like, because with the episodes, like, you're splitting them up a couple of times, you do have to do the introduction again for a second time in the recording.
Yeah.
No, just I get to a point where I think I'm far enough through the narrative. I'll say that's the end of this episode. We'll then have a 10-minute break, come back, and then I'll just start the next episode.
Oh, okay, that's all right then.
And just do the intro.
When I GM, I usually split it up into quarters.
Right.
So we can take 3 breaks throughout the whole session.
Yeah. When I was...
But we're not recording it, so...
Yeah, when I was playing games, like, in person with like a group that I used to hang out with, it would always be like...
If you want to see what Pete mentioned before, this was the fight from episode 16. This is what it looked like on Roll20.
Right.
Jesus! Good God.
Yeah, they were surrounded. I honestly didn't expect them to try and fight their way out of that, but they did.
That's great.
Yeah, they did a very good job of it, actually. I don't want to give too much away for those who haven't actually listened to it, but when Candy finally comes into the fight,
awesome.
it was incredible. Yeah, 3 hours 47 minutes for that Game of the last year.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And that was just the edited episode. We went longer.
Oh, we went so much longer.
Oh
God. Yeah, that stream went on for a long time.
That was not my best work. But
I'm not saying
no.
anything. Keep thinking you didn't perform well on that one. You did.
I don't ever want to revisit that one.
We won't.
What do you think? We're gonna call it for our stream.
I think so, yeah. So we can give Gadget plenty of time to go and have some food, spend some
Yeah.
time with the missus before he has to
Yeah.
get on with a
About
bunch of other
lunchtime for me.
reprobates.
Oh, right. What
Yes,
time
well,
is
it's
it?
been a pleasure, everyone. It's been nice hanging out with you. I'm going to pop off now.
Lovely.
All
Thank-
right.
thank-
Good to meet you.
Thanks again, Gadget. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it, mate.
Loved
No
having
worries.
you here.
All right,
See you
take
later.
care.
Bye.
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 All right, streamers, we're gonna end this one.
Yep.
So we will.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it was a
We'll
good
be back.
one.
Yep, we'll be back to normal next week. Kylie can host.
Yes, and I'll hopefully have a better camera. Oh my gosh, guys.
No. Well, we did say that the idea of the host this week was one because you are very much focused on Bungie as you know,
Bungie.
a fan, and also I wasn't sure if you were even gonna be here.
That's true. But I
'Cause you
rebuilt my computer. It's all good.
You did, yeah, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I was sort of scrambling, sort of going, because we didn't even have any planning time this week to do it, and it was like, oh crap, what do we do? Oh, the BX 500. That's not a bad one,
That's
actually.
nah,
What's the read
it's only-
What's the read speed on it?
I don't remember. It was only 40 quid.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. I don't remember now, Pete.
Okay, because I've been looking at the Samsung 980, which apparently got it's a PCIe NVMe 4.0.
Crucial. I thought this was Corsair. I try to always buy Corsair. That's just my personal choice, though.
Fair enough.
I got it off of
Yeah.
Amazon, if anyone's ever wondering.
Fair enough. Either way, it does the job, and it's got your computer back up and running, so I'm not going
It's
to complain
true.
on that one. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're rambling again, so let's call it a day and shut the stream off. So, Kylie,
Yeah.
can you just stick around for a little bit afterwards? I need to talk to you about something quick.
Okay, make it for super quick.
No, it will be super quick.
Thank
Don't
you
worry.
guys so much, and we will see everyone next week with a better camera.
Okay.
Bye.
And a better host.